G'day YouTube, Turbo Tristan here, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to fit a Walbro 460 fuel pump to the Civic. Here it is here. This is the fuel pump that I got from Sticks down at Quick Bits. Very cheap, very good deal. It's a genuine made in America fuel pump. It's going to go in where the factory location is, right underneath where I'm sitting. Today you're going to need some basic tools, pointy nose pliers, some regular pliers, flathead screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver, 10mm ratchet with a little stumpy extension, and you're going to need your fuel pump. Let's get stuck into it. The first thing you're going to need to do before any backseat action is, if anyone that's ever owned a hatchback or a small car has definitely done this on their P-plates, but you're going to need to take the front seats, tilt them forward and push them all the way back. That will give you plenty of room for activities. You know what I'm talking about. Alright, so what I'm told is that you need to grab the front of the seat, pull it up, and also the back, give that a pop. Alright, so on the sedans there is a bolt to undo at the back of the seat, and then that should just pop out. I believe on the hatchbacks you just pop it at the back and pop it at the front and it comes out. So lay the seats down. You only really need to do the one side. There's a 10mm nut, or bolt, sorry, and then you just take that out and that should free the seat. Alright, so there's the sucker there. Okay. Alright, so that was trickier than I thought. There's a little S bend here on the front clips, and this is where the bolt goes in that holds the seat back down. One thing to mention is taking the seat out for weight reduction really doesn't save you too much weight. That probably weighs 2 kilograms or 4.5 pounds. It's not going to weigh that much or weigh the car down, but we'll just chuck that out here for now. This is my favourite part about taking out the seats of a car, is you get to find buried treasure. 10 cents, $2, $2. Some bobby pins, something's been going on in the back seat here. Some globes, another $2. That's paid for my next trip to the cafe. You beauty. Okay, so I'll give this a vacuum out later on, but what you're going to need to do is undo these 4 Phillips head screws. It's actually nice and clean under here, surprising. Most of the mess is from when I smashed the back window. So besides finding $6 and a bunch of glass, it's actually really clean. So now you're going to need to lift that up, which gives you access to your fuel pump. So this is where the fun begins. You need to pull this back, unplug it, that can move over there. Then we need to take our pliers. This is the fuel return line. Slide that back out of the way. There we go, just move that out of the road. And then with this clip here, you need to squeeze that in. Oop. That's your pressure side there, and then that just removes. So Move that out of the road. Then you're going to take your trusty 10mm. Undo all of those. And then lift it up and angle it out. So the fuel pump goes in on a bit of an angle like that. So you just need to lift this up and then start to pull it forward. Like so. Okay, and then it comes out like that. So the bag was actually, looked like it was a bit twisted, but there you go, there it is. We'll move it to the bench inside, pull this apart and add in the new fuel pump. Okay, so here we have the original in its casing and how it's housed. So the few things that you're going to need to do is remove the filter bag, and there is a very small clip on there that you need to take that off. And then you also need to undo this hose here and this hose here with your pliers and undo the plug. So there's the plug out of the way. There's that. Then just need to pull that out. It's going to be quite tight. All right, there we go. And then you can remove the old fuel pump. All right, so now it's time to take a look at the Walbro 460 fuel pump and what we get in the kit. Now, this was purchased from Quick Bits down in Dandenong, Victoria. They supply all over Australia and possibly even all over the world. You'd have to ask them. So hit them up. I got a very cheap deal from them with the fuel pump, the Raceworks injectors. Here's one here. This was just a trial, but I got the Raceworks 1100cc fuel injectors, E85 compatible, and the E85 compatible Walbro 460 pump, both from Quick Bits. So it's a one-stop shop. So this is the new replacement bag or filter, and that goes at the bottom of the fuel pump to get rid of the old one. Comes with a new wire to connect to the top of the pump. Now this is the fuel pump, made in the USA, a Walbro 460. Now that is the big boy. You've got these little covers there to make sure it stays nice and clean inside, nothing gets in there during transit. And then there's the other end. So side by side, very similar, but this one is 2 centimeters or almost an inch longer or taller, and at the bottom quite a lot fatter. But this is what we need to flow big horsepower. I can use this on my current engine setup and keep it in the tank when I switch over to a K-swap. I want to do a little test fit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut away this plug. We've got the positive and negative there, so I'm just going to chop that because we won't be using that anymore. Get that out of the road, and I'm going to need to take this off now and just shorten that hose. All right, there we go. So that's all apart. All right, so take your trusty soldering iron. And solder those together. Both sides, making sure it's nice and even and joined. This is a practice run for the ECU. As you can see, I haven't soldered in a very long time, but let's get this cranking. Can't remember the last time I soldered actually. I think I was a teen. That is a long time ago. Alright, that's not pretty, but that works. Now on to the positive. Merge those into each other. Pretty poor skills, but this is just a practice. for the ECU. All right, back inside. All right, so that's what inside the fuel tank looks like. There's a little holder there. Fuel pickup is. That looks nice. Nice and clean, no rust, no chunks of anything in there. And then there's the rest of your fuel sits down there. So it's got like its own little baffle or surge tank or something in there which stops it swirling around, and it's right in the middle of the tank, which is great. I'm sure most new cars have that anyway, but there you go. That's what inside a fuel tank looks like. So I had a bit of a special moment and I forgot to press record, even though I was talking to myself and filming the whole process of putting this on. Covered those wires that I soldered with tape, shortened the hose here because this one's quite a lot longer than the factory one, and then just put those two hoses, join that back on, plugged in the new connector. It's nice and tight, and I used a cable tie to tuck that up out of the road. And there we go, we're ready to slot it back in. And just like it came out, we're going to need to put it in on an angle. So we'll push those out of the road, tuck that in, and then a little bit of a swivel, and then just wiggle that in back into its little spot. And then it's just a matter of doing everything in reverse. So put all those 10mm nuts back on. Ugh, getting too old for this. Now for this engine and for this phase of the build, I'm just going to run all the standard sized fuel lines, flow in those lines, and this fuel pump and the injectors will be more than enough for what I'm going to be using it for. In the future, when we go the big K series, I'll definitely be keeping this fuel pump until I need to upgrade it. So that's why I bought such a giant pump for such a small engine. It can stay in here until I need to upgrade it. But when the time comes to upgrade it, we'll probably be getting rid of this fuel tank and running some kind of a fuel cell in the boot. So I'll upgrade the size of all the lines then all the way to the front of the car. But for now, we're going to run with this and just do the reverse, put the lines back on, clip that back on. That's super easy. I'm just going to double check I didn't miss any. And then we need to plug the power back in. There we go, and put the rubber dust cover back on. And then this one as well. And that is how you change your fuel pump in your Honda Civic to a Walbro 460. All right, moment of truth. Let's hope that no fuses blow and the car doesn't catch on fire and we don't end up with first-degree burns. All right, I heard it prime. That's a good sign. God, I gotta fix that belt. Fuel pump doesn't make any crazy noises. All right, so it's just about to start pouring rain here. I'm starting to breathe steam. It's really, really freezing cold in Melbourne. That's probably why that belt was squealing so much, but fuel pumps change. That was the first time I've ever changed a fuel pump in my life. Got to say, I'm pretty happy with it. I think I nailed it. So we're ready to turn up the power. We're ready for the big injectors. We're ready for the Haltech, which is coming next week. I ordered that, so the Haltech is on its way with a wideband O2 sensor. I'm going to run it on straight E85 and hope that's going to keep the engine alive. I've also gone and spent a whole bunch of money on necessary things that I saw as a bargain. You'll see those in future videos. Going to help the car handle a lot better. All right, so that's the first ever fuel pump I've ever done. I went straight for the big boy, Walbro 460 in-tank pump. I've got to say, I nailed that. I've never done one before. I was very nervous about having electrical connectors inside a fuel tank. Still amazes me to this day that it doesn't explode. But that's all done. There's no leaks, there's no noises, there's no rattles. Everything worked perfectly. So that's one step closer to getting the fuel system ready to handle the big increase in power which we're about to see, because I went and I ordered a Haltech Elite 1500 with a wideband O2 sensor. That's going to be a game changer. I ordered that from Quick Bits in Dandenong, so that should be here sometime next week. In the meantime, I really hope you enjoyed the how to install a Walbro 460 fuel pump. Stick around for more content on the channel. Make sure you disinfect your dirty fingers, press the like button gently, don't smash it, subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll see you in the future. I've also, for the crybabies at home, scratched off the wrinkle red over the Honda, so now you know it's a Honda. Oh, that's how you know it's a Honda. I'm going to leave you with this thought, and I want everyone to comment in the comments below. Have you ever heard a Toyota 86 or a Subaru BRZ, the new one, not the old one, the old ones are sick, with an exhaust that sounds good? Because I haven't. I've never heard one that sounds any good. They sound horrendous, unless of course they're turbo or had an engine swap. Probably one of the worst sounding cars you could get.